Hey, my friend, James here from Awaken Therapy. Now, I wanted to talk with you today about something I write about in my new book, Trauma Survivor to Soul Warrior, and that is, well, the healing tree. Excuse me. I go into that at length, the three levels of the healing tree: roots, trunk, and branches. And today I just wanted to talk a bit about why roots are so important and branches are so important. So, in the roots level, what we're talking about there is the healing of dealing with what's in the physical, the raw emotions, and at the heart of it, we're talking about grounding. We're talking about clearing away the chaos and the mess to get back in alignment, bring our body, mind back together, get grounded with the earth, back in alignment with the physicality. Well, we need that strong foundation to proceed. And as you know, think of a time when you've been really connected to nature, to your body, to your physicality. I mean, naturally we tend to find that state easily as a child, just playing, especially playing outdoors at the beach or on the grass or out in the backyard. And as adults, it's the same benefit. Excuse me, still getting over this bloody cough. As when we're dysregulated, when we're triggered, when we're stuck in our wounding, when we're kind of caught up in our ego, our fear-based mind, our issues, when we're highly activated, well, we can be completely dissociated. We can completely disconnect from our physicality, that alignment. It gets all out of whack. And that's a very unpleasant state, of course, as we all know, when we get into that state. And so one of the first things that's so important and helpful to do is to get grounded, to move. Often when we're triggered, like there's heightened emotion, we're really reacting to something, we're in that messy place, the worst thing to do is to kind of sit and think about it or analyze, and often the most destructive thing to do would be to give more energy to those emotions, because from that state we can actually do a lot of damage. We can say awful things that we later regret. We can act out in nasty ways. In fact, this is where the violence happens, and people die in that. This is where homicides take place. So it's critical, really, to catch ourselves when we're in those states of heightened emotion, heightened activation. And so moving is so important. Get up, shake it out, go for a walk, get on the grass, or get into the park or out in the bush somewhere. Whatever's available. It might be a backyard, it might be just looking at the sky from your balcony. But when we get up and move and deepen our breathing, start to shake or stretch or just do a bit of yoga or go for a jog or just go for a walk, what we're doing is starting to move that energy, that stuck energy that's possibly been triggered. And stuck energy isn't just some vague energy or some thought or emotion. It does have a physical aspect. And so when we're triggered, there is a release of these old chemicals, these neuropeptides that get stored in the body, in the cell receptors. So to help move that out, one thing I talk about a lot in the book is just some of these simple strategies on a very root level basis, like just drink some water, because that helps the body to flush out these chemicals, and move. Don't try to have a conversation, move. I mean, even generally with men, talking while we're walking or doing something is often a great way for men to kind of share and unpack. Just sitting there and talking is something I think women are better at doing than men generally. Therapy's quite artificial in that, set up we've got of a consulting room and chairs. There's times when I've done what they call peripatetic therapy, where we get out and we go for a walk, and it's better for men often to be moving when we're talking. So unpacking things, that's helpful. But certainly when we're triggered, a root level of the healing tree aspect is reclaiming the physicality, getting back in the body, getting grounded in that sense. So don't sit there, get up, get outside, do some movement. The other thing I wanted to share was branch level. Why is branch level so important? Branch level, what I refer to in the book, is about really spirituality. And what's spirituality? It's connecting to who we are on a spiritual dimension. And that can seem so nebulous and out there and vague and unreal and, well, what is it? I mean, a lot of people deny the existence of that. They don't see that there's any reality to anything beyond the physicality. That's how upside down we've got it. That's how flipped. But there's a point in our therapy where we do start to be able to recognize more of that greater self, or our right mind, or those soul level dimensions of our being. They become clearer as we heal out the physicality, because we're less bound to the physical body, brain, personality structures. And so the importance of spirituality is, well, ultimately that's the reality. We have what Course in Miracles calls the level confusion, where we've made the physical, that's what's real, that's our true identity, and that's where all our happiness is in the world. But as we all know, the world, the physical world that we live in, is always changing. It's the only constant is change. It's notoriously unreliable. Everything is always shifting. And I think, what did Jesus say? Don't build your house on sand, the shifting sands. And a way of interpreting that is, don't base your identity on the physicality, because it's shifting sands. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all like a movie up on a screen. It's just a whole lot of light and colour, playing up on a screen. And people who have ventured into the spiritual and sort of get that vision awakened, or that awareness awakened. We all have little flashes of that somewhere along the line, little moments of revelation where we kind of remember that greater reality. Some people have really established themselves in that, and they all say that, no, the physical is less real. The physical is ultimately just like an illusion, or a movie on a screen. The greater reality is the spiritual. That's our true identity. That's where happiness, peace, satisfaction, joy comes from. That's the greater reality, as opposed to this seeming reality of our physicality. Now that's a big flip, and that, as I talk about in the book, I'm trying to bridge from our kind of physical, standard psychological perspective into those more spiritual perspectives, because ultimately that's where our healing takes us. In fact, ultimately that's the liberation, really, of our mind, of our heart, in that remembering. It's also very important to be starting to bring that into our inner work, because that's where the light comes from. That's where the love comes from. That's where the truth, if you like, that corrects all our mistaken ideas, because our wounding is based on mistaken ideas such as, I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough, I'm scared, I'm lacking, I'm vulnerable, I'm inadequate, I'm alone, I'm separate, and all our anger and defense that comes from that. All these things really basically stem from the forgetting of the spiritual reality. That's our kind of core issue, is we've forgotten who we are. So ultimately therapy is always a spiritual process, because it's about remembering who we are, that sun that we are, off in the distance. And so whatever your spiritual life is, whatever your spiritual practice is, however you find yourself connecting to that, it feels good in the mind, it feels good in the heart, it feels good in the body. And more than that, it's accessing those resources that we have in our heart of hearts that do the healing, that do the correcting. It's love that heals. And how are we going to heal if we're not accessing love? Love comes from spirit. Love plays out in the physical, but it doesn't come from the physical, it comes from spirit. So, branch level. essential aspect of our inner work, our healing journey. Root level, just grounding in the moment, getting grounded again, getting realigned. Essential part, especially when we're triggered. Hope you find that helpful. Hope you find that interesting. As always, I'm here. Awaken Therapy is here to help you on your journey, to assist in whatever way we can. So like, subscribe, reach out, make a comment, ask questions. Always happy to respond. And God bless on your journey.